What's up, everyone? Welcome to Test Your Might, the weekly video game debate show. Join Joe, Cicero, Justin, and myself, Mike, along with some special guests as we debate all things video games. If you would like to support us, please share, subscribe, and leave a review. Now, enjoy the show.
Welcome to Test Your Might, episode number 62? 63? 62? 63?
66?
68?
Hike?
We're living a dream right now.
Right.
Well, welcome to the number one video game debate show. As you can hear, it's me, Duck, again, hosting today. And I've got two of my seats taken here by none other than the Mafia Lord himself. Cicero, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Hey, Duck, say hi to your mother for me.
I actually did.
All right. Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Did she accept those pleasantries?
She did. She didn't ask about Cicero the place.
Oh, okay.
She said, okay, tell him I said hi.
All right.
Because now she knows who you are. I've had a nice talk with her.
There you go.
I'd like you to say hello to your father for me.
Oh, I will. I will do that. You know what? Not only will I do that, I will also pass on your congratulations to my dad. Because my dad told me a couple of weeks ago, this is the first time I'm telling anybody besides people in my immediate family, my dad has proposed to his girlfriend, and she said yes. So
yes.
My dad is getting married.
There we go.
And I will be his best man.
Hey, you'll have another mom to say hello to.
There you go. That's right.
And then we do have a new guest today. Cicero, you want to introduce this man? The man, Charles Jr. over here.
Listen. So sometimes you find friends and sometimes you find good neighbors.
Got to bring them to the podcast.
Right, exactly. And you bring them to the podcast. He's like a good neighbor. He's almost like State Farm. He is wearing a red State Farm-esque shirt. Right? He is not Jake from State Farm. He is Charles, the former journalist. Charles Singletary Jr. Now he is the current PR specialist at Evolve Marketing. That is Charles Singletary Jr., one of my good friends. Charles, how are you today, sir? Also, wait a minute. Before I even say that, before I even say anything else, we don't bring any chumps on the show, right? Like the people that come in here, not only are they in the industry, but they've got chops, right? So you will see that he also has podcasting chops. He was on a show called Coins to Continue.
Yes, sir.
Very good, very long-running podcast about gaming with his co-host, Pikachu Lita. Katie Chu. Shout out to Pikachu Lita.
Shout out to her for sure.
It is the one and only Mr. Charles Singletary Jr. Sorry about that, sir. How are you today?
Oh, all good. Thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate that you spent so much time on it because you're about to get destroyed and you wanted to make sure everybody understands the magnitude of this situation.
There it is.
There's the fire.
And I do want to say, just so people have context, why I'm here.
Oh,
the bat signal went up because somebody was getting too comfortable.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Third-degree burns coming out of Charles right off the bat.
Now I am here. But I'm honored to be here, though. It's you're a wonderful person.
Oh,
I hate to have to do this to you, but you are a wonderful person.
Hey, listen, if my friends can't come with the heat, then, I can't expect it from my enemies.
True that. You got to be prepared, on your toes at all times.
That's right. Protect yourself at all times.
Definitely glad to have both of you on today. If you guys are listening to us on your podcatcher of choice, leave us a review. That'd be great. 5 stars on the Spotify New Star program. That'd be awesome. If you're watching us on YouTube, you get to see our pretty faces and Charles from State Farm, technically. And the one that's going to be dethroned today over here, Cicero, and myself. That's the best way to look. If you're looking on YouTube, send us a subscribe, hit the bell, notifications, leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing. that'd be great. A little bit of housekeeping. One, our speed review is out, and it was uploaded in conjunction with the last Test Your Might episode. Yes. And we should have a new review on our GG app coming this week, probably the same day this one uploads, for Halo Infinite, coming from us at you. And then we're going to get into a little section we haven't done in a while, because we do have a new guest, and we want to get to know him a little bit. Charles, are you ready for our segment called Guts, if you watch the old show?
Absolutely. I am ready.
All right. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you could just spit answers out, or you can go along on tell a story if you'd like Cicero does every episode. We've got the favorite video game of all time.
All right. That's an easy one for me. I've been saying it ever since I played it. My favorite game of all time is Shenmue on the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
And, here's the thing. I pointed out to a friend of mine when he was researching Shenmue 3 and trying to figure out if he wanted to check it out. He hadn't played the original. And he was talking about, but Charles, it's like your favorite game and you love it so much, so I have to look into it. And I'm like, yo, but have I ever recommended it to you? No, I haven't. Because Shenmue is a game that is very, very strong for when it happened and how it happened, because Shenmue was one of the most, if not the most expensive game made at that time.
Right.
Oof.
And compared to, its contemporaries in that moment, it showed. You can't do what Shenmue did then now, because it'd be too expensive. Like, just to give an example, like the immersion, the fact that every single NPC in the game had a life cycle that they were going through, or a schedule that they went through every single day. They had a name, they had a dwelling, everybody had a home. It all made sense. You can't really do that now on a large scale. So I appreciate it for what it did at that time. But just the story, the immersion, the visuals, the music, even the sound effects, the UI, the whole nine. It was a perfect storm for me.
Okay. I'll have to look into that game. I haven't heard of it before. I know I played a lot of Dreamcast back in the day, but that definitely rocks some boats. I'll have to give it a shot.
Oh, yeah, man. That had use the internal calendar in your console, so you could change it to do different things. That was one of the very first games to do that. It was revolutionary at the time. That it did stuff like that. You could play actual Sega games in the arcade.
They had an arcade that you can jump in, go and play Virtual Fighter and stuff like that.
So you could go into the game, which again is one of those things that's a thing that you can play. There are games that will allow you to do that kind of stuff now, but at the time when this game released, there was no game where you could play an actual other game inside the game.
Yeah, it sounds like the future.
Right.
I think the last thing that did that was Uncharted 4, and they had Crash Bandicoot in it.
Right. Right, but it was only like one level. You couldn't play the entire game.
Yeah, it wasn't the full game.
No, these were, this was there were entire arcade games that you could play in Shenmue.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Space Harrier.
Yeah.
Was one of them. I think Virtual Fighter, maybe.
Yeah. Man, Sega had great arcade games.
Well, talking about not the Genesis, but the Dreamcast, was that your favorite console of all time, or is there something else?
Yes, it was. The Dreamcast was my favorite of all time, and not just because of Shenmue. It was, I got into it at a weird time. Like I was interested in gaming, but I wasn't like in the know on everything. When I bought it, it was dead already, or it was dying. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Completely unaware of that fact. I was in Sears with my mom, and there was a video game console brand new for $99. So I was in Sonic Adventure was the demo they had on display, which is an amazing game. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna ask my mom if I can get this. Didn't think she would actually do it, but I had actually done really well in school immediately before that. So it was like just the perfect time. And I got it. And Sonic Adventure, I still think Sonic Adventure is the best Sonic game I've ever played. It was super dope. Shenmue, NFL 2K, NCAA 2K, NBA 2K, those games were incredible at that time. Phantasy Star Online, Power Stone. Like, I don't think we've gotten anything to even match that kind of brawler.
Yeah, no, I played a lot of Dreamcast back in the day. Even from Crazy Taxi, that blew my
Crazy
mind
Tech,
back
yeah.
then. But the game that blew my mind on Dreamcast, I know we were talking about horror games before the pod started here, but it was called Ill Bleed. And it was a small title, and it was a survival horror that you used kind of like your scare factor in order to play through, and you could get scared, and that would basically game over you, which was good.
Yeah, they had a few horror games. They don't speak to me necessarily because I don't really do horror games much. But there was one. It was called Blue Something, and
I think I know what you're talking about.
It was such a gorgeous game. I played the first level,
Blue
and
Ivy.
it was the first level didn't scare me that bad, so I just kept replaying the first level. I never went past it. I was like, this first level is fire, and I'll just only do that. Straight up.
Let's go on to the next question for you. If you were to live in a video game world, where would you choose to live?
It would be in the world of Final Fantasy VIII. The reason being that game is nowhere near my top Final Fantasy games, but I found it very fascinating that they had basically a high fantasy world where it was like a college system, a university system built around it's like magic and stuff like that. Like I could go to school. I could go to school for this and learn these spells and like it was that before, Harry
Elder
Potter.
Scrolls.
Like well before Harry Potter, before Elder Scrolls for me personally.
Yeah.
That was that example of that I was so attached to. And I think at that time I was also at the point where I'm thinking about going to college and stuff too. So it was just like, damn, I really wish that would be the college that I
Let me get my card to Hogwarts real quick. Hold up.
yeah. But that's my answer.
What's the application process for this school?
Yeah, the School of Magic. How do we get in this?
Writing that essay.
You'd be able to get one if you lived in that world, which would be cool. Desert Island video game, only one game series, and you do have the internet. What would you choose?
Internet not needed. I don't really mess with multiplayer that hard. So it's actually Final Fantasy again.
Okay.
I love the Final Fantasy series and
A
Final
lot of
Fantasy
hours of
7 is
gameplay
like
for
the
sure.
game. Yeah, the Final Fantasy 7 game is the game that like changed the trajectory of my life. That's how I really feel about it.
Okay.
So I can do 7, 8, 9, 10 tactics, all of those. I can go to the earlier ones because I'm on the island. I got the whole series. So yeah, easily Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I got into Final Fantasy 1 and 3 back in, NES and Super NES days. And then I played 7 one weekend, realized it was a Saturday, and I played it all day long, and I realized I was still on the first disc because PlayStation had 3 discs for that game.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, oh, this is too much for me. I'm getting out. And I haven't gone back to Final Fantasy since.
You should. Final Fantasy 9 is actually the longest that I've played a video game consecutively. I played that game for 24 hours straight.
Really?
Wow.
And
Jeez.
I fell asleep in the chair I was playing during the boss fight. It's turn based, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I woke up. I woke up.
Luckily.
And I continued that boss fight.
Oh, yeah. What was I doing? Limit break. Okay, hold up.
Right.
Yeah.
Knights of the Round.
Well, that's our little segment on Charles, so you guys know what he's coming from and what he likes to play or what he's grown up with. Let's go into what we're playing now, though. Cicero, over to you first. What have you been playing over the past week?
A little bit of Sifu. Getting
Okay.
a little bit of martial arts in my life.
I'm going to keep asking you if you aged out yet.
I have not aged out, but I've only made it to the third boss.
Okay.
Okay.
I am 47.
Okay.
So,
Dang, that's a big jump from where you were in their 30s, I think, last time we spoke.
Yeah. So
Someone put their hands on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
The game is hard, and it creeps to the edge of frustration. And
Not
then
as much
you,
as
like,
Dark Souls.
and then you figure it out, and then it's okay.
Okay.
I've also been playing Lost Ark
Okay.
on PC.
Would you consider it an MMO?
It is massive. It is multiplayer. It is online.
Okay.
But it is a Diablo style MMO.
Yeah.
So
Have you paid for more inventory slots yet?
I have not. No, I have not. I have not spent a dime. I am still way too early into the game to do that. But it's fun. I'm on PC, but I'm playing with my controller, and there are way too many controls I'm doing like this weird hybrid of doing most of my stuff with controllers, but then there are certain things that I have to do on the keyboard, and so then I'm like putting the controller down and I'm doing the keyboard thing.
Yeah, it's like the menu management or something. You have to use a mouse and keyboard for. Do you see that game coming to console? Because you can use a controller for most of it already.
They've done a fairly decent job of mapping the controls to for console. They would have to do even more, and or simplify it to the point where it could. I could see a game like this coming to console. But
the bones are there.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as complex from a control standpoint on console.
I think they need to look at Final Fantasy 14 because that game does a fantastic job of mapping to a controller.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something that they'll be interested in doing with the free-to-play model. I think free-to-play is the way to go with massively multiplayer games, because they always seem to figure out a way to make money with those games, and you can pay to win in Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So there are, you can definitely spend money to get better items, to get to kind of give you the steroid boost you need for your stats and your XP leveling and stuff like that. So they'll definitely find money that way. But it's still it's still pretty good. It is a cool game. It would be, I don't know if it would work on console the way it's currently constructed, but something like it could. Outside of that, sports ball. I picked up UFC 4 on the PS5 because it was free. I've been having a blast with that. Still playing some Madden. I beat my boy Mo in our for my fifth consecutive Super Bowl in a row. We were both undefeated. His Falcons versus my Jets, and we won in a nail biter.
Jets fan?
Yeah, Jets Niners.
Sorry,
Jets JTS.
So I'm a West Side Story fan, so Jets are on my side.
Exactly. When you're a Jet all the way. So that's been fun. I've been playing some NBA 2K. That's been fun, and I'm getting ready for MLB The Show coming back to Game Pass.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to swing over to Charles, the prospected winner of tonight. Go ahead, and what have you been playing lately?
First, I want to say him talking about Lost Ark and saying that free-to-play is the way to go made me want to add another Test Your Might topic to this whole episode, but maybe for another time. But I did play a little bit of that. I'm probably going to step away from that one because I can see the grind it's like off in the distance. I can see it coming. And
that's why I haven't touched it yet.
The gameplay hasn't hooked me enough to stick around for that. I do like the prospect of playing an ARPG with friends is something that I've been wanting to do. And because that's the new hotness, I wanted to dip a toe in there, but we'll see. If any, like I might play with you, Cicero, and might enjoy it. So, but the games I've been playing consistently, The Legend of Heroes Cold Steel 3 is like my mainstay right now. That's probably gonna be like 60 to 100 hours I'm putting into. So I'm playing that every now and then. Cyberpunk 2077. I was waiting for the update. The update is here. So now I'm actually going to push through and try to complete it.
And you're playing on console or you're playing on PC?
On console. I'm playing it on console. My PC is not good enough to run it how I want it to be run.
Sure.
And I tried the Google Stadia version, and it was too washed out for me visually.
Right.
What class did you choose at the beginning?
Nomad.
Okay.
Okay.
I went with Corporal just because most power.
Everybody seems to love. Yeah, everybody loves a corpo.
Apparently, it's the best apartment you can buy later on now with the update. I don't.
But see, yeah, but that's I think I don't know if that's outside of my reach being a nomad at this point with the new update. I think I can buy anything, but I don't want to get into a Cyberpunk review. That's not what I'm here for.
It's been a year since I played it, so I won't be up to date.
But like it's cool. It's not exactly where I want it to be as far as everything being fixed, but it does look pretty good on my Xbox Series X, and I was already enjoying the game, even with all of its issues before. I saw the potential there, so I want to keep playing.
Are you doing the performance mode, or are you doing the 4K?
Performance.
Okay.
Yakuza Kiwami, playing through that. I finished 0 last year, so I'm playing through that series slowly but surely. I jumped ahead and played Judgment last year also, but because it's a separate character, I didn't feel like I needed to play it consecutively or whatever. And that game is amazing. Humankind, which is very for people that aren't familiar, it's similar to Sid Meier's Civilization.
Yeah, I played that a little bit back then. That was good.
Yeah, I love Humankind. That is my 4 hours disappeared out of my day game, and I didn't realize it.
The ritual now.
Yeah.
Just
one more mission. Let me just go check this out.
Just one more turn. Let's just try this.
Yeah.
And then Dying Light 2. Which I was very much looking forward to that. So
Buggy Bug 2.
Buggy Bug 2. We talked a little bit before, like off cam, well, not recording. I don't really do horror games. Dying Light is an exception for me. The first game is fantastic, but the thing about the first game is when it comes to nighttime, I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
Skip it.
Right.
And the first Dying Light, I legitimately skipped.
Oh, it's bad.
I legit skipped night every opportunity I could in Dying Light. There's like 2 missions where you have to play through the night or through the dark with some of the bad stuff. And I feel like the second game, they were like, yeah, Charles likes to sleep through the night, so we're going to switch this up a little bit and make the night much more valuable. There's a lot of stuff to find, and it's not as difficult to survive it. So, and then horror games, if you give me a horror game and it's single player, chances are I'm not going to play it.
Right.
If you give me a horror game and it's multiplayer, I will play it.
Right.
No matter how scary that game is, if I can play it with a friend, I'm good. And Dying Light 2, you play up to 4 people. I've played with 3 max so far. And we have a blast. Like, it still like has its creepy moments, but I enjoy going through like that horror thriller thing with people.
Right.
Like, I ain't screaming by myself.
Right, exactly.
It's a shared experience.
Right.
I'm not alone peeing my pants. I'm with friends.
Right. But the funny thing about Dying Light 2 is it's so unbalanced on when you have co-op, because like by myself I'm gonna have to sneak a lot more often, because if I get jumped, I'm dead. I'm done.
Right.
But you go into an area with 3 people and it's like, you can sneak past these people, go up under this thing. As soon as we have control of this situation, everybody's getting jumped in this building. Right. So it's just
like
3 of
John
us
Wick
just
style
wailing.
all of a sudden.
We all 3 of us just wailing on everything. Like they had a boss fight. Dude drops down from the ceiling or whatever, and he, big buff dude, and it's like dramatic scene. Soon as we had the controls, just all 3 of us just he was dead in like 5
Just
seconds.
up with a stick.
My bike.
Yeah.
My bike's
Yeah,
full.
they got to work on that balancing just a little bit more.
Or don't. That's pretty
all I've
funny.
been playing.
Yeah. Right. Or don't.
True,
Right.
true
Or
that.
don't. How have the bugs been?
All right, so early. So I think there's 3 areas total that you work through. I am in the second.
Okay.
The first section, Gucci, we're good. Second section, as soon as I saw what the second section was, I was like, this is why the game has so many bug issues.
Oh, okay. Right.
This area is massive. It is incredibly ambitious for what they
Overpopulated.
Not even. Well, yes, it is overpopulated,
With
but the
stuff.
thing is, it's
Right.
like it's wide and tall. They've
yeah.
got skyscrapers with zombies in them.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and like stuff to climb up, and this is when you get the paraglider to fly around. And I was like, this is why the development of this game got out of hand.
Right.
It's fun as crap to play, but it's where the bugs are.
Right.
Friend of mine flew over there, and they have this kind of narratively established gameplay barrier between the first and the second area. He found a way to go back well before you were supposed to, and it jacked up his entire save file. Like when he got back to the correct area, he had to like rig it a little bit to make it happen. All of the progress was stored, but it looked like everything was available. So he'd do a quest. He has to do the quest to make it progress. But as soon as he started, it's done. So it's like, yeah, it's real janky. Real janky.
Real talk from the Duckman. This is for all your fans, all the fans out there. Take your time and enjoy the story. Don't cheat your way through, because it's just going to mess up your entire experience.
Right.
I haven't been playing much. I know Martha is Dead's coming out in like 3 days. It's a horror game coming out that's got a lot of controversy around it. I've been going through the back catalog of the developer Wired Productions. I've gone through Those Who Remain and The Town. I believe it's The Town. Close to the Sun, and then the other one it starts with The Town. I'm not sure of the name. They're all the back catalog of this before Martha is Dead. And it's just the storytelling is where it's at. You know, it's most of the vocals are in Italian, and it's hard for me to really immerse myself with, you know, different language settings, but I want to keep it as fluid as the way that the art style wanted it to be, and it does great jobs of making you cringe and making you feel uneasy, which is something that games don't do for me most of the time. So it's good. That's what I've been playing mostly. Getting ready for Martha is Dead, coming out shortly here. Same day as Elden Ring. And we'll go right into the news. We've got something interesting here from EA. They admit to why Battlefield 2042 didn't meet their expectations, and they cite Halo Infinite as being an issue with that and the release date. So I want you guys to just talk about it. Cicero, go ahead. What do you feel about that statement?
You know, so that has been kind of the language that you've reported. It has kind of been the language that's been going around the gaming industry, and I kind of reject that, right? Because their admission, EA's admission, that, because I mean that is what they said, right? Like that that the game was, you know, it was COVID and the challenges of developing during COVID, and then releasing the game right around the same time as Halo Infinite, and we lost so many of our core demographic gamers, consumers, left our game and went to Halo Infinite because it was highly anticipated, what have you. And all of those things are true, except you're forgetting to add the part where Battlefield 2042 on its own was underwhelming.
Yes.
And
it wasn't polished.
Right. It wasn't polished. There were plenty of issues that they were aware of during the beta that gamers were fully and freely discussing, were issues during the beta that they ignored, is I guess the best way to kind of sum that up. I mean, things that I personally said when I played the beta, when we, and I was just like, I don't know that this game is ready. Like,
it needs some more time in the oven, is what you said.
Right. I think this game isn't going to be ready for its release date, and maybe we've got an early build, what have you, but it didn't seem ready, and it turns out that was correct. And they still decided to release this game anyway. You can't blame someone else's game for being better than yours as the reason for why your game didn't perform as well as as your game did. You've got to take responsibility and say your game wasn't ready and it wasn't good enough.
Right.
And if your game was good enough, then your consumers wouldn't have left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I take it, Charles, you completely agree with that, I'm guessing?
Yes, and I'm going to throw some extra stuff out there. First, I'll say this. This is not intended as a flex. This is legit if somebody sees that I'm on this show and they're worried that I'm going to talk about something I'm not supposed to talk about. Don't worry. I know I'm under NDA for certain things about this game that I can't speak on. I'm not going to speak on those things, so don't worry. You can cut the episode off. You can walk away.
Now say it.
Specifically on the topic of them saying Halo is the issue, because they tried to frame it as, older Battlefield games have come out with bugs and we've had time to figure those things out. And going to what Cicero said, if your game was good, the bugs would not be an issue.
Right.
Like they wouldn't be a problem. Even if they were super bad, I think if the game was dope, people legitimately would not care. They would give you the time. But the bugs are not why people are not coming back to the game. It has other fundamental issues. And I think I only played the beta because I wanted to play it. I wanted to buy it. I like the Battlefield games more than I like Call of Duty. So I was like, I was there. And then I played the beta and I was like, I'm not there anymore.
Right. It's not there.
It's not there. The Portal mode was probably going to be my main focus if I did end up getting the game, because I didn't really like, the map that the beta had. I was like, this is cool, bigger, more people, more people in the Battlefield itself. That's cool. But I really like the old Battlefield maps a lot more. And the destruction of those maps too. So it's the blame game. It's smart by them, but if you can see through it, it's not smart. Like, because you can tell, like, you're trying to frame this as one thing when it's not that. Just take ownership. Y'all either take ownership in a way where you're like, we're going to fix this problem, because you have a good game in there somewhere. Right. You need to identify it and put it at the forefront. Like, I don't think it's a situation where they have to be, well, this game's a wash. You holler at y'all in 2 years when the next Battlefield comes out. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. So they can bounce back, but this is not a good first step for them.
I completely agree with both of you. Got to call back to No Man's Sky, to Cyberpunk just recently. If you messed up your game, fix it, make it better. Don't point the finger at someone else when you released an unfinished product. That's really what it is.
We're in the age of updates.
Exactly.
We're patch 1, patch 2, a month in, years in.
No matter what comes out near you, yes, it may split the audience, but if your game's good enough, you will hold audience, and that's what matters.
And the other part of that is, it's not like it was a surprise, right? Like they knew when Halo
People told them about the bugs,
right. Well, not only let's take the state of their game out of the mix, right? Like, you blaming the release of another title on why your title didn't do well. If that is something that you like, that's not a surprise to you, right? Like, if you have the audacity to say that this title, this franchise was better than ours or more heavily anticipated than ours, it was going to, if you have the chutzpah to say that the reason that people aren't playing my game is because people are playing this other game that came out around the same time, then don't release your game at the time when that game is coming out. You know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Especially
Infinite,
like
it's been in the works for a long time.
Right. It's not like it was a surprise. The only part that was a surprise was that the multiplayer, or the what was it? Yeah, the multiplayer launched early or something. They launched it like 2 weeks early or a week and a half early. So but that wasn't the thing.
No, if your game was delayed for that long, then you would have launched it early too if it was ready to go.
Right. Well, that isn't the thing that kept people from Battlefield 2042, right? Like, if Halo's multiplayer didn't release 10 days early, then they would have had all of the time all the time they needed to cement that customer base.
I don't even want to legitimize their statement with that little bit there, because yes, there's some overlap between Halo and Battlefield players,
Right?
But it ain't just a complete circle with Halo and Battlefield.
Right.
Like it is a very different.
Yeah.
There's a very different experience in the Battlefield side versus the Halo side.
Sure.
And I think they were panicking.
Right.
They were in panic mode, and they needed to point the finger at a big target.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
big-
yeah.
the
It's,
big
you know.
bully.
Right. Well, the big target was EA, and they just didn't want to point it at themselves.
Yeah.
I
really what it is.
spent a lot of time convincing myself that if I played enough of Battlefield, I would like it.
It didn't work.
And it I stopped playing it before I stopped liking it. So I think that I can return to the game at some point in the future to try and get a feel for it if they do
patch
something. Right, if they do something where they're like, "Hey, come and check out, Battlefield 2043 now." 'Cause,
42.5.
right. New
The
year,
1
new
year
us.
later
Right.
expansion.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
new year, new us.
If it holds
yeah.
up, if they do what
Yeah.
they should have done in the first place,
Well,
I can feel the heat from you guys about that statement alone from EA. I hope you guys bring that into the next section of our podcast here. It's time for the namesake, guys. Are you guys ready for Test Your Might?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give Charles the first pick since he is the guest on this one.
All right,
the first
yeah.
topic we're dealing with is about the new Master Chief in the new TV series coming to Paramount. The Master Chief is set to make his TV debut, and the plan is for him to show his face. Is this the right decision? So you can either go pro or against, and it's your choice.
I am pro this decision. I think it is a no-brainer for it to happen. It's inevitable because it's live action for one. If you had done maybe an animated series, I think that you could get by with not showing his face. But the power fantasy of Master Chief being what he is, it works in a video game. He's like Doom Guy, for instance, for the Doom series. The super powerful, faceless, just buzzsaw going through a whole bunch of aliens and monsters, and like you can do that. For a television show, you can do more by showing us who Chief is and showing us how this person under the mask is taking on this massive role in this situation. Whatever situation they're going to use, because I'm not actually sure where they're going to set this. I know it's a retelling of Halo. It's not a one-to-one with the games. But this person that has such a major impact in this science fiction world, show me who's under the helmet and how he really fits into things. That's how I feel.
All right, Cicero, defend the opposite, please.
I mean,
Or just back
do
down,
I even,
if you feel
do
bad
I
about it.
do I even really need to defend the opposite? Duh. Of course you don't. Of course you don't show his face, right? Like, he's the Master Chief. You don't need to see the guy under the helmet. You don't need to see that. Like, off cast, we were just talking about the Star Wars, right?
What, Mandalorian?
And right. Well, Star Wars. We were talking about Star Wars. We were talking about the Mandalorian. We can talk about the mask, the OG mask guy, Darth Vader, right? We got to see Darth Vader, the back of Darth Vader's head in Empire, and that was everything. Oh my gosh! Oh. And then in Jedi, we got to see the front of Darth Vader's head, and we're like, ugh, I don't want to see that. He looks like Humpty Dumpty, and they put a face on him. Like, that's ugh. So, I don't need to see John 117. I want to see the Master Chief, right? Like, I don't need to see the dude under the mask right? Like, what's that really getting me? I don't need to see Chief during chow time, hanging with the bros and you know, being one of the Chief is doing his thing, and when he is doing his thing, he is doing his thing, and when he's his downtime, he's kind of figuring out what's going on so he can get ready to do his next thing. Keep the mask on, man.
So from
This
Cicero,
Okay.
Go ahead. You ready? Go.
I got a question for you. All right.
All right.
So we Mr. Chief.
Yes.
With the helmet on.
Yes.
Not Master Chief. Mr. Chief got the helmet on.
Mr. Chief, yes.
We don't care who John is, right?
Right.
So do you know of any other film or TV series that adequately does the same thing? Where it just you don't care who the person is, they can keep a mask on or whatever, and it's like good storytelling throughout that.
Well, I mean, so you got the Mandalorian for the longest time, right? We didn't know who. I mean, we knew who the actor was. Eventually, they did unmask him, but that it was anticlimactic. Like, sure, it was marvelous in the moment. Like, ooh, we get to see under the mask, right? But then you didn't care anymore. It's like, all right, now you know who's under the mask, but so what, right?
Even in that situation,
right?
No, sorry to cut you off.
No.
Even in that situation,
No, it's a fight.
He
You go
had
for it.
I feel like he even had a better reason not to have the mask on. Like, it was against your culture's laws to take the helmet off.
Correct.
But it was a TV series, and this is inevitable. It's gonna happen. Like, whatever your emotional payoff is, or if you even write one,
right,
or you just some other reason, you're going to show the person under the mask. And they're going to make that, like, because the person under the mask does matter. Like, for a video game, it works. It works not to have to show the face.
Right.
Whether you're just being cheap and you don't want to render the face, that's beside the point.
Right.
If you can do it, you can have this one character go forward. Now, we've seen, in my opinion, you can have where Master Chief is just that deity that is around and does his thing.
Right.
And you tell the story of the other characters around him, right?
Absolutely.
But we've seen that. That didn't go over so well.
Forward Unto Dawn was amazing.
No,
it wasn't. Forward Unto Dawn was not amazing.
Forward Unto Dawn was not amazing.
Forward Unto Dawn was amazing.
But it was cool, but that's not what they're doing.
Right.
Master Chief is the lead character
in this show.
In this particular situation. Right. If they wanted it where he's just gonna pop in, like if this was a story of just Halo, like just the world that they're in, and he's not the lead character, I think they could get away with it. But if he's the lead, they got to show the face.
Tron Legacy.
Take the helmet off.
Tron Legacy. Tron was not shown.
Correct. He was not the lead.
He was just the mask.
He wasn't the lead either.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
But it worked. No. You're playing into my point. It works for him.
It's the mistake
because he's not the lead.
You could be the disembodied voice, and that's all you need to be, because that is all you are. You are the chief, and he's not like a human. So you may be right? Like, you may be right that this is a thing that they are going to do. I don't agree with them doing it, because what purpose does it serve to make Chief human, right? Like everybody else. No.
Because he is, though. That's what makes him more appealing. He is human, but he put in the effort. He's doing the work. Just like Captain America, right?
Right.
Captain America wouldn't be... Like, he got the serum, but there had to be a person underneath that took on that serum. Because, like, we saw, like, I don't know if y'all watched the show, the Captain Falcon, and the Winter Soldier, right? You see what happens when you get the serum and you're a piece of shit, right? But he wasn't. So John, the Master Chief, like, that is a very key part of what makes Master Chief great. A thing that I feel is a huge disservice to all of Halo media outside of the books is that we don't get writing that shines a spotlight on the other Spartans, because a lot of people that play the games think there's just one Spartan. It's Master Chief, right?
Right.
There are other Spartans.
Remember Reach, baby.
I think you got it in Reach. Yeah,
remember Reach.
Reach didn't even do the best example.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut you guys off. I'm going to cut you off on that one.
Okay.
I don't think Cicero's coming back from this one. Even in Leatherface, they show Leatherface's face eventually. They take his mask off because it means something to show you that he's a character. And I agree, he is one of us, and that's what it's supposed to be. Chief wins with the mask off on this one. Sorry, even if I don't agree with it, it's got to be done for the show.
That was a gimme.
So that's a Charles win on that one. Bringing in the heat.
They also showed his face in the end of Halo 4 if he did the legendary ending, by the way.
Ouch. More fire to the more flames to the fire there. Just throwing on top. On to our second debate. Cicero, you're going to get to pick first on this one, or tell yours first if you'd like. Street Fighter is getting a crossover with Magic the Gathering, which is a card game. For people that don't know. So choose a game series that can cross over with a board or a card game of your choice.
All right. Charles, I will let you go first.
Oh,
I didn't know you could even do that.
Yeah, he can make the decision. He can pass the torch if you'd like to pass the torch. It's burning up right now, but he's going to pass it to you.
All right, so I'm going to go with Dungeons and Dragons with Final Fantasy. Does that count? Because I know you said board game and card game.
That works. That's fine.
Will that actually count? Okay.
I'm just checking if it's a thing.
D&D.
I will say this: if D&D with Final Fantasy.
Okay.
And if I need to make it where it's specifically card game, board game, I'll say Final Fantasy mixed with Gloomhaven or Magic Knight. Now, the reason why I started with the Dungeons and Dragons part is because I don't love how unbalanced high fantasy is in a lot of like fiction games, movies, the whole nine, and it's very Eurocentric. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we could get an injection of something very different with Final Fantasy. Even if you only start with one world of Final Fantasy, like for instance, Ivalice from like Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 14, you're still getting a very different fantasy world that's kind of steampunkish to a degree. But even further than that, if you include the other Final Fantasy games in there, you're going to get you're away from the archetypical elf, dwarf, whatever catch-all for the barbarian or the barbaric race of things. You get a more diverse collection of things, but you also get, if you're going to have a human character, you get something that is much more interesting, a situation that's much more interesting for them to survive in or work through. You got a lot of worlds to work through with the Final Fantasy series, so that's why I chose that one.
All right, Cicero.
All right. Well, so I mean that was nice, Charles. He was like, "Oh, hey, let me take this thing that's fantasy and add more fantasy to your fantasy." Yo, dog, I heard you like fantasy, so I'm gonna add more fantasy to your fantasies. I'm not gonna go in that direction. I'm gonna go in a slightly different direction.
Okay.
Guys, what if you had GTA, Grand Theft Auto, specifically for this particular game, Grand Theft Auto 5, and you had the game of life? GTA 5 presents the game of life.
Okay.
Should I explain what this is? Or?
Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm thrilled to hear.
So this is, we've all played the game of life. We've all played Grand Theft Auto, right? What you've got now is you've got the characters from Grand Theft Auto, and you are going through their lives through the game of life. You roll the spinner and you wind up on different spaces, but instead of going to college, maybe you go to the School of Hard Knocks. Like, we're going to play up the satire that we get, that we know and love from Grand Theft Auto, and we're going to inject that into your tiles. And then we're going to talk about the different types of things that you can do throughout the course of a Grand Theft Auto game that can fit into a game of the game of life. So maybe there's a fast track for drug running or weapon smuggling, but there are extra spaces as you go further and further on that track that will get you caught and wind up in jail. And then maybe when you go to jail, you may run into somebody in jail that can get you a good job or a lead on a heist when you get out of jail. So the goal of this game is still to, make it out the game one alive, because that's not necessarily guaranteed, but also to make it out with your riches so that you can retire. And along the way, there are going to be all sorts of highs and lows and traps and pitfalls and places where you can relax as you would in Grand Theft Auto. Lots of different things that you can do. Your cars, your vehicles, where you have the little holes in your pegs right there, are for your henchmen doing heists, doing different games and side missions, side quests that you may have in the game. GTA Life.
Well, we have the GTA of Life MA by Hasbro Shooteristic over here. Charles, yes. What do you got to fight off those gunshots coming at you?
For one, I want to say I'm a little disappointed.
Oh, okay.
He decided to go with Grand Theft Auto for the game of life, and following these characters in Grand Theft Auto, because I feel like you took a little bit of agency from the player in this situation. Like, with my idea, right, they can go into this with any creation that they want,
absolutely,
and live in a multitude of worlds,
absolutely,
right. Some of those worlds might even be very similar to the experience that you have in Grand Theft Auto. Yes. While Grand Theft Auto gives you one flavor, right? Which, when you really think about it, the appeal, like, Grand Theft Auto is really just life, but just a life of debauchery. So I guess it's like, you can call it the fucked up life, right? The fucked up game of life. Right. Mm-hmm. I can rock with that. But it's just a very limiting experience. Plus, it's already been done too, by the way. There is it's 2021 the real game, the board game, which is Grand Theft Auto, the board game. Mm-hmm. Essentially all that you just described, my good sir.
2020?
Yeah, right. Just the year itself, real life.
Yes.
Yeah. So Charles just spent a lot of time talking to us about how my game was redundant. However, while ignoring the fact that he literally took a fantasy game called The Final Fantasy and added it to a group of things that are about fantasy. And you're right. You know what, Charles? You're right. When it comes to taking agency away from the player, in the same way that you are allowing the player to have agency, GTA Life, GTA does not give you that same experience. But what it does is something that I think you need, right? Your friends come over to your house. They come over to visit. They're coming to hanging out for stuff. And, you know, you just kind of come and like, oh, hey, we haven't seen each other in a while. We're going to hang out. We're going to do some stuff. And if you come over to my house, you'll see I have a bunch of board games sitting over there. Right? Now, what game are you more likely to play? Are you more likely to play a game that is clearly defined and maybe a new take, an off-kilter take on something that we've played before? Or are we going to play something that's open-ended that may take you 45 minutes just to build your character, right? If we're only going to be hanging out for a couple of hours, I would much rather play a game that took 45 minutes to play, where we sat down and we were like, oh, hey, I like this peanut butter and I like these marshmallows, and we put these peanut butter and the marshmallows together and we had a blast joking about how this peanut butter and these marshmallows came together in this particular configuration, and it was fantastic. And that's what the game of life GTA is all about. Final Fantasy D&D Final Fantasy Edition is a thing that could happen, but it's just more D&D. It's just more of the same, as opposed to what we're doing here, which is something completely different.
Yeah, I have researched the 2020 board game, and it does have elements that you have mentioned, but it also looks very different than the game of life. So I'm going to take that out of the argument. Also, there is a fan-made 5th edition Final Fantasy book, so I'm going to take that out of the running as well. So you guys can't use those in your argument, okay? That's fair.
Oh, all right. Oh, look at that. All right, that's fair.
So in response to what he just said, 2 things. For one, him saying that, you know, I injected fantasy into fantasy. Fantasy can be used as a catch-all for anything. The Grand Theft Auto that you're talking about is a fantasy game.
Absolutely.
Right?
Satirical fantasy.
Right? All right. So
Yes.
we understand that.
Yes.
Now let's take a look here.
Right.
No disrespect for anybody that shows up at your home wanting to play a game that's super quick. You know, you jump in, you know what the experience is. You know how long that game is gonna last, right?
Right.
You invite people over, like, we ain't got 4-hour snacks.
Right.
We got 30-minute snacks.
There you go.
Right?
There you go. That's right.
I can respect that.
Not here for a long time. Here for a good time, baby.
Grand Theft Auto, the game of life. It has that, you know, that box that is gonna come in.
Right.
I'm trying to imagine your vision. Right?
Yes.
Everything that's inside that box. That's the extent of what that game is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Dungeons and Dragons Final Fantasy, right?
Right.
I can make it anything I want it to be.
Yes.
If I want it to be Grand Theft Auto in the world of Final Fantasy VII, it can be that. The Dungeon Master can make that game into whatever they want to be, especially,
Right.
you know, as a matter of fact, a good Dungeon Master will respect the time of the people that come to their session. They will pre-make those characters for them.
Oh.
Hey, here you go.
Oh, okay.
This is
Oh,
what
so
you
you're
can do.
taking the
Here's some
agency
sheets.
away. You're gonna take the agency away from them.
If they want a 45-minute experience, I'm gonna save you some time.
Oh, okay.
Here's a character sheet right here.
Oh, okay.
You're Travis.
Yeah.
With the
Oh,
living
okay.
out in the boonies.
Right. Okay. Right.
With some explosives.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This is what you're starting
This
off
is what
with.
you're starting off with.
Right? You know
And
what I'm saying?
and
Don't
some
worry if they-
chocobos, right? You
ride the
wilderness,
chocobo
right,
with some C4.
right? In your underwear, right?
Yeah, I can make this experience whatever I want it to be. Okay. And then this doesn't have to be an experience that ends. Like 45 minutes done, you leave. Next time you come back, hey, we can continue this story. Or we can do something completely new. It is just much more flexible, man. Let's be real here.
All right, I'm going to cut it off on that one.
Cutting it there.
So, it's very hard for me to make this decision for both of you. I personally DM for Dungeons and Dragons, and I have been part of a few different campaigns that I went to the first session, and the character building alone scared me away because it was so homebrew, and there's so much stuff that you would have to pick. You would be sitting there for 45 minutes, like Cicero said. That is a true thing that you do that first session, and it's terrible. It's not as fun as it sounds. And also on the same side, the Grand Theft Auto game is without imagination. Everything you play is in that box. When you get that box, that's what you are getting into the game. That's all you get. I'm gonna have to go with Final Fantasy on this one. I have to.
Come on!
I think that the creativity involved and the character building would keep players in for longer. And I'm sorry, Cicero,
yeah, because because you buy board games and you only play them once. You guys are terrible.
No, you don't.
No.
Right.
No, we gonna have that Final Fantasy 5th edition. You gonna be sitting there with Grand Theft Auto, the first copy.
Right. Oh gosh.
The amount of stuff is overwhelming at first, but then once you get in, and then the next session you come back, it keeps going, and your creativity goes. As long as you have a good storyteller with you, you're good to go.
Yeah. Go on to
Real talk. I've literally been in the situation where I've avoided D&D because of how much is there, and I had a good DM set up a situation for me to play while we were at E3, and I was like, oh, okay. I got the experience now.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, D&D is great.
Well, 2 in the bag, and Cicero is getting worn down each time a little bit more.
It's looking shaky.
Yeah, he might have to stop at a campfire and take a break.
Right.
I came here for a fight. I didn't come to get arrested for assault charges. You ain't fighting back.
All right. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go into my bag of tricks.
Round 3. Here we go, guys. TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder Revenge, looks to bring back some amazing side-scrolling brawler action. What series has never had a brawler before, but would make a good one? And Cicero, you lost, so go ahead. You get the choice to go first again.
Charles, he peeked behind the curtain, said that he didn't have a choice for this one, then finally came up with it. I want to hear what it is. Go ahead, sir.
Handing off the campfire torch again.
It's a tough one. I'll give y'all like the background of what I thought of previously that didn't quite count. My answer was Yakuza, the Yakuza series, which if it weren't for April of last year or something like a couple years ago, where they made a spoof, basically like the streets of Kamurocho. They made a side-scrolling brawler, so it's already there. My other failed answer is The Warriors, because that would be originally a movie, not necessarily like it has games, but that wouldn't quite fit, in the gaming space. So my answer is, and the game would be called Mega 10. Does that ring a bell for anybody?
Mega 10?
No? Mega 10, MEGATEN.
Oh,
ring a bell?
Is Mega Man X?
Clacks on that. No, you're gonna have to do some clackety clacks on the keyboard. But Mega 10, for the people that are not well versed, is the world that Shin Megami Tensei comes from.
Okay.
So that's the Shin Megami Tensei games, the Persona games. That would be the 2 that you would know. They have Devil Summoner and Digital Devil Saga and stuff like that. And the reason why I chose that is because it taps into, like, for one, if you just look at Persona 5, for example, the distinct visual art design would be fantastic in a side-scrolling brawler to me. Just that flashy neon. Like, we get a lot of the grunge, gritty grays, browns, and grays in a lot of games, and I feel like having that super vibrantness in a side-scrolling game, kind of similar to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I don't know if y'all have played that.
Yeah.
Kind of in that vein, I think that would be fantastic. You have a plethora of characters to choose from, which I think is another thing that makes a side-scrolling brawler like really pop. Like, the Streets of Rage games, you remember what those characters were. You're excited when Blaze is selectable in the new one, and you can get skates and stuff like that. So they have a lot of fan favorite characters that would be around, but they already have the framework for a side-scrolling brawler in their games, the Persona 3, 4, and 5. Whereas this, like, specifically 3 and 4, they have this massive tower that you're working your way through. And it's different themes on each one of those towers for different reasons. You get to the boss fight. Sometimes it'll be tied into the psyche of a character and stuff like that. So you can explore those characters you're playing with while also going through those levels. It's got the framework. You take a 100-level brawler, drop them into it. I think you have the perfect situation.
All right, Cicero. We got Persona 5 over here and Mega 10.
Not bad. Not bad. I don't know if I have a clever, catchy title for my game, but it is a game that comes from a franchise and a series that has a lot of lore. It's kind of come out of nowhere, but you saw the actual flowers being planted, and they started to bloom, and they've grown into their own kind of like juggernaut forest, all on their own. But this brawler would come from the world of Apex Legends. It's the Apex Legends brawler. And so, you know, what do you need for a good brawler, right? You need iconic characters that you can unlock, and lots of baddie fodder, right? Like, you just need henchmen. And we've already established that the world of Titanfall and the world of Apex Legends are the same world. And one thing that Titanfall was able to do was add lots and lots of AI, just bullet sponges, just fodder that you could go through and destroy. So imagine being one of your heroes in Apex and using your specials in Apex to move around and attack those minions, and then you get to your bosses, and some of the bosses will be there's already set up canon and information and animation and stories about how these characters interact, and based on the character that you have, you may have a story that will allow you to fight through the levels and progress through the levels of players and characters that are also in Apex Legends, and you can start to unlock them. You can unlock variant characters, you can unlock variant skins, you can unlock special new abilities. There's all this stuff that you can do in those games, and of course, because there's so many characters, because there's so much stuff there, you of course can have drop in, drop out co-op.
Okay, I'm looking at that. That sounds good. I know Charles touched on the graphics wise and the color set, color palette. Would yours be 3D graphics while being side scroll, or would it be like old school graphics?
It would be. I think it would be a mixture of both. I think what you'd wind up getting is you would get a like 2D, almost like sprite-based version of the characters in the 3D world. Okay. In the kind of photorealistic version of Apex Legends and Titanfall, that aesthetic, just kind of 2D-ified. But you'll see stuff in the foreground, you'll see stuff in the background, but the characters themselves will look like sprites. So it'll be like this really interesting juxtaposition between the characters, and like the henchmen will look like the 3D versions of the henchmen from Titanfall, what have you, but your characters themselves will have a different aesthetic.
Okay.
It would be kind of like HD 2D, like Octopath Traveler, but with like photorealistic backgrounds.
Correct.
Like realistic. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
All right, go ahead, Charles. Rebuttal.
All right. I like the sound of this. I'm disappointed that you didn't go another route with this particular idea because I feel like it was the direction you went. I feel like it was a layup to take either Overwatch or League of Legends for the same reasons. But the reason I'm gonna tell you why I think those two make more sense than the Apex Legends idea, right? The thing about Apex Legends, when you look at this free-to-play game, Overwatch is not free-to-play, but I feel like it occupies that space now. League of Legends definitely is. The hero shooter, right? The hero shooter experience. Apex is very much still a shooter at its core. So you are going to be shooting guns. Like, that is the point of the game. That's how you're going to win. You have your abilities that can influence the battle. But that's where it kind of begins and ends in this context. So I don't see how that works for a side-scrolling brawler because the characters there are all shooters too. And the reason why I said Overwatch and League of Legends makes sense because you have a much more strong emphasis on melee fighting, where a side-scrolling brawler would make sense. If it was like Apex Metal Slug, I'd be in that same boat with you. I'm rocking with you on that. I don't think there's like an old Western game on Sega Genesis that's also the same where you know the side, and Contra. Contra is another example. I feel like you got me there if they're that, but I don't see those as side-scrolling brawlers. I don't see that fitting Streets of Rage, Final Fight, Double Dragon. That's where my disconnect is.
Cicero?
Yeah, well, you're right. If what we were going to do was just take Apex characters, plop them in, do what you're saying, right? And then we'd be shooting. But we're not going to be shooting. We're going to be brawling, right? It is a brawler, after all. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those heroes and we're going to take their specials and we're going to modify them ever so slightly, which is why the characters will look different while maintaining most of the characteristics that you know from them and maintaining a similar visual aesthetic while looking stylistically different. We're going to modify their specials. So like the first aid one will give you and your your companion, if they're in your area of effect, if they're in a couple of squares, a quick boost of health really quickly, or something like that, or Bloodhound will allow you to immediately hit the characters right away, or so you'll never miss. Like those types of things will allow you, the character that does the transporting will allow you to teleport behind characters as part of their special, so you can do your secret behind the back super power combo thing. Like all of those things, it's the characters like that's the thing that's beautiful about it. That's the thing that would make it great, is the fact that you're taking things that you inherently know and switching them up just enough to make them different, but also because they're slightly different, if you know who they are, you're rewarded for that, and in the way that you play this game that is fundamentally different from the game that they came from.
Okay, one more small rebuttal from you, Charles, and then we'll end this one.
Well, I wanted to give him an opportunity because I feel like we've only been talking about his game
because
so
it's
far.
so great
to defend himself. So I wanted to give him an opportunity to say something about Megaten. He hasn't had a chance.
I mean,
to.
Megaten.
If
it sounds dope.
If it's too great of a game
it
that
sounds
you can't
dope,
really
but
find
it sounds
a hole.
dope. But I mean, the reason you guys been talking about my game is because my game is great. Like that's really what it boils down to.
No, my point was that it didn't sound great. I was trying to get it there. I was trying to make it great for you. I couldn't get there.
Yeah, it just occupied your brain space.
Hey man, look, we all lose sometimes. It was inevitable, man. If you can't find a hole in Megaten, then that's cool. I understand.
I don't need to find. Look, just because I don't need to make yours sound bad in order for mine to sound great, right?
No,
Mine
you're
just,
right. You're right.
Mine just sounds great. Yours sounds great. Mine sounds greater. And that's where.
All right, we'll just end it there then.
All right.
So
there it is.
Charles over here grabbing a fireball and throwing it, or trying to throw it at Cicero, ended up burning himself up. Unfortunately, Charles, you lost this one. Cicero, I see yours coming into fruition. We have tweaks to the characters. For people that are listening or watching, the first one he spoke about was Lifeline, and then he said Bloodhound, and then he was talking about Wraith after that.
Right.
For the small tweaks, I do see that happening. I do see the game. I think the title should be Apex Legends Unloaded. That'd be cool. Take the guns out of it.
It is. Look at that.
And
Boom.
there's
Unloaded.
heirlooms for all the characters
Nice.
that you could use as weapons. It would work out great. I think it would do a good job. Cicero, Apex Legends for the win on this one.
All right. Chain.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone gets one.
Right.
This time it's Uncle C's.
Right.
We're going to go into our final fight of the night, which is a blind fight, which means you guys don't know what it is, but I do, and I'm about to let you guys know. Now, Charles is going to get to pick first on this one due to the fact he lost that. So, Cicero, if you want to tie it up, this is the last chance to do so. Otherwise, you have lost tonight. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Charles, the question is coming from a friend of the show and a guest that has been on here multiple times, Sean Rugg. He gave us a versus battle. Now, this is going to be a celebrity deathmatch style battle of my choosing here. The Untitled Goose, the Goose himself, versus the man from Hello Neighbor. And you get to choose who you would like to fight as in the celebrity deathmatch.
All right, cool. I'm definitely going with the Untitled Goose. I'm definitely going with the Untitled Goose. Like, do I need to also go ahead and dive into why?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start swinging because he already knows his selection. We can go right in.
Okay, got it. As the Untitled Goose, just putting it as simple as possible. The world is mine. This is all available to me. Everything that is here revolves around me. This life that you're living, whatever you're doing, this farming, you're trying to water something. Excuse me, honk. This is my world, and you'll only be able to do it if I allow you to.
I see why Sean chose this.
This hose you was looking for, it's not available to you anymore because I don't feel respected. So
I definitely want
It's
Jelly
just
to put
like-
a honk counter on the screen somehow. There's been 2 so far. Keep track.
But like it's I don't know. I feel like that's such an easy decision because like the neighbor, he's cool dude, but like all he's doing is finding you. He evicts you from the house. You know, you got into his whiskey drawers. You found something you wasn't supposed to find. Man, I don't feel no kind of like threat from this guy. You know what I'm saying? But the goose runs the show.
You know, he could talk about this goose, and the goose is good at honking up mischief. But what the goose doesn't do is honk up the bills, right? Where the untitled neighbor, he sees you and he tells you get out of here. And in fact, in Untitled Goose Game, right, when the goose runs into people, the goose gets chased off. So yeah, you creating mischief, but that's only when you sneak. If I catch you, you out. You out.
You're right. You're right.
You talking about you got mind control over Debo. You got mind control over the untitled neighbor. But you know, when I come around, you be quiet. And then when I leave, you talk again. You ain't got mind control over me.
So, Mr. Neighbor,
what you got on my chain?
Mr. Neighbor, you caught me outside your house.
Yes.
You stumping, you mad,
right.
You come
That's
over,
right.
Get out of here, right?
And
I
leave.
dip out, long neck, honk, honk, I'm gone,
Yeah.
right?
Honking
You
out.
turn around and try to go in your house and can't find your keys.
Yeah.
Where the keys at?
But what you got on my drink?
You come looking for me, where the keys? And I'm right next to a little lake. You know, it may or may not be in that water.
Right.
So who really run the show around here? I'm outside your house. You right, but you outside the house too.
Yeah, but
we outside.
I'm right, but look, hey, listen. You know, I mean, that's what Jada said. We outside. So I'm gonna be standing out here. Jada said we outside. But the thing is, I'm hip to your game. I know about the goose, right? I done seen geese. I know how geese get down. I got my keys.
This ain't just geese. This is the untitled goose.
Right, this is the untitled goose.
One of one. One of one.
Right. I got my keys on the janitor chain. I got them on the. So you might pull them. They're gonna snap back. They're gonna snap back. All
right.
But like that's the thing. If I know you coming around, I'm watching for you. I'm watching.
But the thing is, I know you coming too. Your windows open. Like I'm in your crib.
Yeah, I did,
just
but
chilling.
I need cross ventilation.
That's cool. It feels nice in here. The temperature is wonderful.
And you know
it is a
happen?
perfect 71 in your home.
That's
Thank
correct.
you.
That is correct. And you know what else? The temperature is fine. In this pot that I'm gonna have me a goose. It's Christmas time. Your goose is cooked, honk.
Bro, you're not even home yet, bro. You don't like. I can hear you everywhere you are walking around your house.
Oh, yeah.
I know all the rooms that you're in. Mm-hmm. So if you come, you got the pot on the stove. I smell something. It smells nice. You got some seasoning in there.
Yeah, got some carrots.
Got some herbs.
Yeah, got some
right.
herbs.
Yeah, it smells nice.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just cut the power because we not about that.
Oh, for real?
We cutting the power. Yeah, we cutting the power.
Oh, okay.
How can I not play it safe for my? I don't need my goose to be cooked. Okay, you know I got to take care of myself out here.
Yeah,
but once again, your home is it's a death trap, but not just for me, for you. You got all this stuff laying around, man. Like it's hazardous in here.
But I know
it's
the
not up to
context.
code.
You're discovering these things.
Your place is not up to code.
Right.
What is going on?
You're discovering these things.
Talking about
I know
the
the jiggle the
association?
handle. Right. I know the jiggle the handle.
I could get you evicted up out of here.
Yeah. You know what though? Ain't nobody gonna listen to no goose. Right.
I ain't gotta. No. I ain't gotta say it. I just gotta lead them there. You seen my game.
Oh.
I'm taking you all over the homeowner association. Oh man, I snatched his hat off. He chasing me.
Right.
He find the hat. He look up. Why this man ain't got no curtains? He got wood planks on the windows. What's going on over here?
Right. Well, it's because the stupid goose keeps coming around, and I'm gonna point at the goose. Look, you see this goose?
You know how crazy you gonna look? Like, yo, this goose.
Right, the same goose that stole your hat.
This goose got my planks on my window. He's not gonna believe you. He might get you put in the home, man.
The same goose that stole his hat has broken through my windows, and I had to board them up because the goose kept breaking through the windows. This goose.
All right, so
I'm gonna change the name from Untitled to Menace.
Did the goose put this cult shrine in your basement as well?
Listen.
Uh-oh.
when that was like that when I got there.
Oh, okay.
And
so is this your home? Are you renovating?
No. This is my home. I was renovating. I was thinking about putting some heated floors down in the basement, and I discovered this area down here as I was excavating. And that is the story that I need to stick to because I don't want my assessment to go up.
And the whole time you saying this, that you're just gonna hear through the window, honk. Every lie that come out your mouth.
That's all right. That stupid goose is gonna that goose is just gonna run around and get run over or get chased by the dogs.
No, me and the dogs, we cool. They don't bother me. We have a friendship. I bring them snacks. They let me live. You know what I'm saying? We good.
Okay.
Yeah. I pick a little something from the garden, bring them something nice and fresh. You know, we all good over here.
Yeah.
I don't have any more to add on the goose versus neighbor right now.
Yeah, well, that's all right. You trying to spill all my secrets out. All I know is this goose is a snitch. And we don't like snitches in my neighborhood. So that's why the neighbor's cool. Neighbor don't say nothing. Goose is honking all over the place.
All right, well, I guess I'll call it at that point. I might have died a few times during that debate. Unfortunately, Cicero, I think you've lost tonight.
Oh,
The honking
right.
and the homeowners association and the ritual shrine in your basement that was there when you moved in, that really sealed the deal. I do think the Untitled Goose has honked his way to victory tonight.
Honk, honk.
unhonking believable.
Unhonking believable. All right, well, that brings the guest, the dethroner who called it before it happened, Charles.
Look, when the bat signal goes up, I just show up to do the job.
Oh, look at that.
Right.
Oh, man.
If you need me, I'm here.
We're gonna go right into the leaderboards now, Charles. Anything to say to your fans before we move on?
I want to thank y'all for listening to this. This has been a wonderful experience. You know, like I hate I had to get him off the throne, but it takes power to move power. It takes a big threat. There's always a bigger fish.
Oh,
There's only one big goose, is what he's saying.
There's always a bigger goose. So, you know, I got to do what I got to do. I'm honored that I am the person to do it. And yeah, that's it. Follow me on social media if you'd like. No, actually, I changed it.
Yeah.
Charles Right Now, WRITE, as in writing. Charles Right Now. I talk about movies. I talk about music. I talk about games. That's all.
All right.
yeah. We'll give you a chance to plug some more after we do our leaderboard. But yeah, please get yourself ready to talk about the podcast that you are doing, and so we can both allow you to pitch and we can promote.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll definitely have to have you back to have a nice feisty rematch where Cicero tries to reclaim the title. So on to the.
He got to put some salve on that burn.
Put himself in the pot. So the leaderboard is the top 5 gaming sequels. So it must be the second game in the series, nothing further than that. In honor of the new Horizon game, Forbidden West, that just came out, who's doing phenomenal in all reviews that I've seen and only heard good things. We'll go with the winner tonight first. You're going to give your 3 options, and then we'll put them in here. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay. My 3 options are going to be Zone of the Enders, the second runner.
Okay.
Def Jam Fight for New York.
Nice.
And The Witcher 2.
Wow.
I had to parse through quite a few to get to that point. A couple of them were instant ideas, but I got a long list.
Oh, yeah. Cicero, go ahead with your 3.
All right, I'm going to go Watch Dogs 2. Halo 2.
Dude, okay.
And Portal 2.
Ooh.
Nice.
It's a nice jelly reference there. One of our other hosts. For me, I'm going to go with my favorite horror game of all time, which is Silent Hill 2.
Nice.
And then Halo 2 was taken. I believe the next one I was going to pick was Arkham City.
Okay.
Good.
Also one of Mike's favorite. And then my last one, if I get over here, is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Nice.
Yeah, which I haven't finished yet, but I enjoyed the 10 hours of prequel that I played.
All right, so I have a question about that.
Yeah.
I know it has 2 in the name, but would you consider the first one the sequel?
So,
Red Dead Revolver to
Sequentially,
Red Dead Redemption?
so like, right, narratively, it absolutely is.
well, I can switch.
But
if
but
we're,
it is the
Yeah, I think it's a winner.
I've got another one
either
that
way
is
you go.
up
I
there
think
on my list as well. Like I said,
I actually think that one's the strongest choice of the two, just personally. But I thought about Red Dead as well when I was putting the thing together, and I was like,
yeah,
The
technically
replacement
I would
to
disqualify
Red Dead
for that. I'll just go ahead and switch to BioShock 2 for the listeners. That way it's fair.
There you go.
Go ahead, Cicero. What were you gonna say?
There you go. Oh no! I was just gonna talk about what you replaced it with.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
One of the games that you're gonna start and finish soon.
Yes.
"You're gonna play BioShock 2 soon?"
Yeah. Why not?
You got
Nice.
it.
Okay, dope. Did you already play the first one?
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't played any of the other ones.
Got it before that Netflix show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll be in the same boat I am. All right, Charles, your must-have. You're gonna pick one of those three that you chose, or from other people's lists. I don't play by the rules
Yeah.
here.
You can pick any. Yeah. Yeah.
Def Jam 5
Good
for New York.
choice. I totally forgot about that. Such a good game. And Cicero.
I'm gonna fight for Watch Dogs 2.
Okay. I played the first one. I never got into the second, so it would have been a fight
Oh
for
man,
me.
the first one was trash. The second one was great.
Have you played the third or no?
Ubisoft.
There's
Ubisoft problem. Yes.
Legion, I think.
I
Right?
have it. I own it. Yeah, was that the London one? Yes,
Yeah.
I've got it.
yeah.
And
I feel like that Watch Dogs 2 is in the world of like games where the first one didn't quite match up to what they were supposed to do, but the sequel got it right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Silent Hill 2. You guys probably haven't played it, or if you have, it's a long time ago. I've played it recently. I enjoy it thoroughly. And then we're gonna fight for the last two spots on our list. Anything calling out to you guys?
I mean, like they're all.
So good.
Yeah.
Every last one of them was on my extended honorable mention list, so I can appreciate all of them being there.
Like Halo 2 was up on my list for sure. That was the one that really got me.
I think I'm gonna fight for Witcher 2 to be there.
Really?
And
Okay.
The reason being, Witcher 2 is very much like Watch Dogs 2, but even the gap is larger. The first Witcher is a nightmare of a game.
Right.
Like it wasn't just a situation where we have this idea and we just don't have the technology to push it. Like it's just the combat's not good. Like the way the story is told is not particularly great. Witcher 2 just like we definitely wouldn't be where we are with the Witcher TV show and Witcher 3 doing what it is if we didn't have Witcher 2.
Really.
And
Okay.
I honestly say, I'm like not trolling when I say this, but sometimes I think Witcher 2 is better than Witcher 3. It is more, it is obviously more linear, but because it is, there are moments in that game that it earns and that it puts you through that the third game doesn't have. It can't replicate it. And it's a magnificent game. All of these are magnificent games, but Witcher 2 really took it to the next level.
Unfortunately, I do have to say I've
RPGs.
never played a Witcher game. Witcher 3 is actually in my retirement game collection. So when I have all the free time in the world,
Retire.
Game of Thrones and Witcher 3 are going to be on that list.
Put Witcher 2 in there. Don't put Witcher 1 in that.
No,
retirement
just
list, but put
I only
Witcher
have
2
3 in there
too.
currently. You want me to put 2 as well? That's oof. I better live long.
Right. Retire early.
But I could fight for BioShock 2. I know I've played it multiple times, and
Yeah.
like the first one is a great game and it's great for story elements, but the second one really threw you in the lore bucket and really took that universe and blew it up for you. I could fight for that for sure.
I can fight for Halo 2. I can fight for BioShock 2. I can fight for Portal 2. I can fight for Arkham City.
We only have 2 spots.
Yeah.
I think I can get behind Arkham City.
All right. Arkham City is on the list.
All right. Yeah, totally.
Arkham Asylum was wonderful. The more claustrophobic experience, but more of a you're locked in here with me. I'm not locked in here with you kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then Arkham City kind of blew it
Yeah.
up. It's crazy good. Like taking the gameplay from Arkham Asylum and putting that in a big space with the freedom to move like you move.
Right.
That game is fantastic.
Okay, have we all played Halo 2?
Yeah. Where are you on Halo 2, Charles?
All right, so it's there for me on the multiplayer side of things, right? I dove into that. I had an absolutely incredible experience playing multiplayer. Like just to give you a random situation that happened.
Story time with Uncle C.
GameStop. Yeah, I was at GameStop, and the dude was in there talking trash about being good at Halo 2. And I was getting off work soon, and my homeboy that I play Halo 2 was there. So he was like, look, let's not with this talking stuff. I live right down the street. Let's go set this up right now. So we went to the house. I had the big screen TV, and we brought a TV downstairs and put it on the pool table so nobody could screen watch. And we smoked them. It was a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And I also did like a lock-in at a friend's church just overnight, just straight up Halo LAN party, and it was amazing.
Nice.
So like that when I think of Halo period, those are the memories that come back for me. The single player, it was cool, but like the multiplayer did it.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, it was a turning point in my game. So, childhood for sure. You know,
what are your feelings on Portal 2 then?
Portal 2
could have been better.
I love. No. I think what they did to make a puzzle game, because that's what it is. You know, at the beginning of the day, to make a puzzle game that interesting with that type of atmosphere and also have the co-op elements so well designed, I feel like that is definitely a pivotal moment in gaming. Portal 2 is pivotal. I think Halo 2 has been done by other people. Right. I don't think we've had another Portal 2 or a Portal for that matter. I don't think anybody else has done that. So I would not be opposed if that's going to be the one.
Okay.
You know, recently I've played a game called Subliminal. I don't know if you played that.
I know Subliminal. Subliminal is probably the closest we've come.
Yeah, that's the closest we've gotten to Portal, in my opinion.
So, so how do you feel about Portal 2, Justin?
I'm down.
All right, Duck says Portal 2. I say Portal 2. Charles says Portal 2. Portal 2, it is.
So our list in no particular order goes Def Jam Fight for New York with Snoop Dogg. We got Watch Dogs 2, Silent Hill 2, Arkham City, and Portal 2. I'm sure Mike and Jelly will be very happy those last two on those lists. And here's where we plug. Charles, if you want to go ahead and plug yourself, anything you want to say, anything you're working on coming out. Thank you so much for being on. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank y'all for having me. Sorry I plugged the social too.
No, you good. You won. You deserved it.
Twitter is Charles Right Now. At Charles Right Now, right as in writing. That's where you can follow me on social media. The podcast, it's a film podcast. I don't want to tell you the name yet. When we come out with that, you'll see.
Okay.
It'll be a big thing. But the way the podcast works is me and my three wonderful hosts, we draft two movies. All of us draft two movies, like a football, like a sports draft, right? And it's a snake draft. It's randomized. So that's two movies each person, and that determines our season for that for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And we randomize the order. And we all have to watch it. So you can choose any movie you want. It can be a short movie. It can be from any country. Doesn't matter what it is. And it's the intent is to get us out of a comfort zone, talk about movies that we normally wouldn't see. Or even you can pick a movie you've already seen that you just want a different perspective on. And all of us come from different spaces in like how we watch movies. Like a couple of the guys are like super well versed in it. They can speak to all these different things, cinematography and all of that. Some of us are a bit more casual, so you get the wide gamut of conversation. Nice. So I love the show. We've already recorded a few episodes. We're going to put out the season when all of the episodes are done. And I legitimately just I love recording it because I love having the conversations. If we put this show out and nobody listens to it, I'm fine with that because the conversation is that dope.
Yeah, I feel you completely. We have a parent show named the 90s First, and we do that as well with movies. And I'm a movie buff, and my first job was Blockbuster Video, so movies have been my life.
Nice.
And I love talking about movies as well. So glad to have you on the show. I know Cicero's a little down because he got honked off the stage, but it was great. So that's our show of Test Your Might for this week, guys. From Cicero, from Charles, and from me, the Duck. Honk, and have a nice weekend.